Welcome back to Essential Grasshopper for Rhino3D, and what I've done is I've just continued to create these interesting geometries with the subdivision tool from a little bit of surface analysis, and it's coming right off of what I had in the last Essential Grasshopper for Essential Grasshopper for Rhino3D, dealing with Param Containers, point creation, plane creation, curve analysis, division, and then surface creation. So what I ended up creating was a very simple surface. And from that surface, I talked all the way to this point. I wanted to do something with it. So I might jump into here and hit stop and go in and take a look at what that surface is before we see the bakes. Now that surface is generated by the Essential Grasshopper for Rhino3D video first one, which I did a short condensed version, and I kind of like the short condensed versions. I offer the GH files on GitHub. If you want to support Patreon, you can. Otherwise, these are still open public repos. But think about that surface, and then what did I do to it? I relayed it in, and I'm able to take a look at what I wanted to do to that surface. So if I shift control that, I actually need a geometry, not just a relay. That's exactly what I'll do. I'll jump in here and just put in a geometry node, and we will take that relay data and put it in here. And that way we can see the original surface, and then we can see what else we select. This is a wonderful tool. If I put on my bifocals, one of the earliest plugins you might want to put in is a divide surface node, because I'm using my icons now. And I could use extended names, but I think you'll get used to it. So you could subdivide that surface, and you could also, with that subdivision, you could also find iso curves on that surface. And you see how wild it is because they're it's such a small little model that I have going on. So I'm not really too concerned about having that one, but those are the points I want to deal with. The points come out of it, and the vectors come out of it, and of course you need the vector display to see the vectors telling me which direction I want to push these points. I could divide it more than 2, but I'm going to keep it very low at through. And I want to show a little tiny algorithm here, which is really nice. It's the divide domain 2 and then put it into an iso trim, and you're actually able to build a variety of smaller surfaces within it, which is really nice because you can grab the centers of all of those split surfaces, and you can do a quick scale to those, which I made very tiny, and then I moved those up in a direction away from where things have been going, in an amplitude that I can adjust and slide up or down. It's a little slow script, but I'll just kind of move them as I make them different shapes as they move away from the normal that's coming out of the divide surface vector. So it's a nice little system. And then I'm really checking my data. I'm like, well, I have 15 branches with 20 items. It might be nice, after simplifying this, to use a Pathmapper. And if you can read your data here, as this is column A, this is column B, and this is the I, you can actually use your Pathmapper and type in and edit in here to put in the number of indices that you want to work with, or elements on the list. And I just do a quick swap from these numbers, which go 0, 1, 2, over to the item numbers, and then bringing B over here to 20. So you'll see that I'm able to change the data structure, which allows me to call out either the first item on each list, the second item, or the third item, and loft those together. So I can have these lofts that actually are formed, I can have these lofts that are formed, and I can have these lofts that are formed. Well, I prefer the 0, 1 off the bat because it makes these boxes, and then I just debrep to get the curves, and I'm able to throw on a little bit of a node size on those and create these different little structures. Then I'm just baking them. And actually, I think what I baked was just the difference between the boxes that were formulated by sliding through the index number of the indices of these moved forms by 0, 1, and 2. And then I just baked them onto a level so I can see them as red, yellow, blue, and put them on different layers, which you can see within my layer tab. So that's pretty simple. A nice idea of surface analysis and what to do with it. It gets you windowing things and making trusses, and actually building really nice, beautiful curved structures that might be fabricated for an installation, a wall installation. I'm not sure what function you do with it, but it's a nice little shape. Short little 4 or 5 minute video, and I'm not really going into details on transformations or intersections. I'm really staying to building surfaces by the 2 most common things that I enjoy making surfaces from, and those are the lofts and also from the subdivision pipes, because it's a fast-moving algorithm in Rhino 7. Anyhow, I will share this file under Essential Rhino for Grasshopper for Rhino3D Beginner Part 2, and that will be on the GitHub. And for anybody interested to grab the file, you'll have a nice master file that takes you pretty much all the way through to even dipping into the Pathmapper on surface edits. Keep in mind, Rhino is quite literally a curve and surface editing tool, and I use it mostly away from meshes. I like to play with splines or NURBS curves or even interpolated curves in what I'm doing. Thanks very much for watching.